Coming in 5, 4. Oh, wait. Coming in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hit it. You're listening to Weaponized News with Stuart Webb and Sam Chaney. And now, back to the show.
Thank you, Woody, for that introduction. Folks, thanks for joining us. We're back on the second hour of our broadcast. This is Weaponized News, brought to you by weaponizednews.com, our website. Please visit the site, read some articles. It should be completely full by the time you're listening to this broadcast, so there will be plenty of content for you to go over. And please support the broadcast. We appreciate our listeners. We appreciate with the station 1680 for putting up with us. We appreciate just the listeners in general for putting up with us. But we are here because we care. We are not doing this because we necessarily want to. There's big problems going on in the world all over, and we need to address them. We want to create an honorable society in the future. We want future generations to be able to grow up with a legitimate education, not just be force-fed lies by government agents, government officials. So we are here to shape the future. And like Sam said earlier, he doesn't want to be doing this. He would rather just be hanging out with his family, starting his, accounting business or whatever he wants to do.
I realize I can't do that. They're not going to let me. The New World Order is not going to let me do that.
They won't, because they are on offense always, attacking those. They're preying on the innocent, preying on the weak, preying on the honorable.
Playing on the ignorant.
Yeah, and if the honorable men in this country don't stand up for the women and children, and the honorable women don't support the honorable men, sorry to say it, we will collapse. The society will collapse. It doesn't matter how feminist you are. It doesn't matter because...
Metrosexual.
Yeah, it won't matter because they're spraying us. We're eating GMO.
But
we're dying.
It's trendy to act like that.
That's very true. So maybe if trendiness is more important than actually surviving, then maybe you just stop listening to us. And talk bad about us and try to discredit us. But we want to continue to live. We don't want to get cancer, and we don't think it's normal for 56. 1 out of every 56 boys in this country to have autism.
By 2025, half the population will have autism, pretty much be retarded.
Yeah, and we're laughing, but it's seriously not funny.
Sick.
We're laughing because we are scared
you have
for
to laugh
the future.
To keep from crying.
Yeah, and we're scared for... When I see a child that has autism, I know it's because of what we've been fed, what we're eating.
What they've weaponized against
fluoride
us.
in the water. Yeah. So we're... Here at Weaponized News, we ask you to weaponize the information we give you and to use it as a weapon in your liberty arsenal, break the mind control, and everything's weaponized against you, so you need to turn it back around. So visit weaponizednews.com, but we're going to get into some news. I know we were ranting and raving, but this is the first show of the year. We're launching the operation, and it's important, and we're promoting ourselves a little bit. So please visit the website. Share our articles on Facebook. Share it with your family members, the operation and the website and the show. We'd really appreciate it. Sam, what do we have going in the second hour? What kind of news are we looking at?
We're looking at the zombification of America.
Now, what's the
And that's an article on Zero Hedge, and the dictionary.com definition of zombie is the body of a dead person given the semblance of life, but mute and willless, has no will by a supernatural force, unusually for some evil purpose.
And of course, we have shows called The Walking Dead that are about zombies, and we have zombies watching the show about zombies entertained. So we are very close to being what the dictionary definition is. There's so many people that don't have an opinion about anything. They just, oh man, I did an article on Weaponized News to talk about this, about how this missing flight, this recent missing flight that was actually found, the wreckage of 5180.
Doesn't matter. We should still attack Russia.
Yeah, no, right? Yeah, they'll just they probably are mad that it didn't go missing, so it didn't stay missing, so they couldn't blame it on some enemy that they want us to attack, even though they're no threat to us. But I go over in this article that I wrote for weaponizednews.com is that we care more. We really do care more about what's going on in the television, but not only that, even the news stories that are kind of mysterious and out there. We will talk about that as long as they're not they don't create political debate. So I'll hear people say, "Oh, did you hear about that missing plane?" And really, I'm like, "Well, yeah, I heard about it, but that's not important. Did you hear about the Federal Reserve keeping interest rates
do you own stocks
at 1% or whatever?
Malaysian Airlines?
Yeah, I mean, why does it even matter?
Do you know any of the people that died on that plane?
If it doesn't directly affect you, that story, and I'm not saying that it's not important, we need to investigate, but there's so many other more important things that are going on. That is a distraction for what really matters. Is the Fed printing more money? Are they keeping interest rates low? Because that can't be sustained. They have to. Interest rates have to go up. They have to be, they have to. And you can't just keep inflating the dollar because other countries stop using the dollar, and those will come back to you. They'll stop using the dollar like we've already seen. We'll go over in the show. But I cover that, we need to actually talk about real issues. So when someone asks you about, did you hear about the plane? I'll be like, no, but did you hear about the NDAA that Obama signed 3 years ago and continues to sign that takes away, basically just eliminates the Bill of Rights? He can kill you whenever he wants by an him just saying, I need this person dead because they're an enemy combatant. Did you hear about that? And they'll say, I don't really get political. Oh, but you don't care about the president being able to just kill you whenever they want. But you do. Oh, the plane. Oh, man, did you hear about the plane? Man, what's up with these planes, man? It's just a fraud. It's a distraction. I'm very sorry for the people. It's a tragedy. But you know what's a tragedy is us losing the Bill of Rights and Constitution completely. That's more of a tragedy than a plane going down and these mysterious Malaysian Airlines. And clearly, Malaysian Airlines has got an issue.
I wouldn't fly Malaysian Air.
I wouldn't fly Malaysian. I know, I really wouldn't. But that's the least of our problems. And so that's all I'm trying to say. And that's what we will continue to bring in analysis, is that we will grab you with attention. Oh, Malaysian Airlines? Oh, let's look at this article. It's non-political. Let's look at it. And then we'll just blast you with, hey, maybe you shouldn't care so much about Malaysian Airlines. You should care about your rights, your human rights.
Sir, the average person watches 153 hours of television a month, in addition to spending countless hours watching movies, playing video games, listening to music, maybe reading a book, and surfing the internet. The end result of all this programming turns us into virtual zombies. And that's exactly the way the elite like it, to talk about mindless news stories of missing planes.
And you'll see even
Sony hacks.
And if you notice, they're creating more and more political shows on television because they want to control the narrative and make you think that that's how it really is. They want to put out all these political shows that talk about the president, the White House, and the president's briefer, CIA
They
briefer.
Really care about you.
Oh, man. Yeah, and they're really giving you real analysis that this is how it actually happens. It happens nothing. That's not how things actually get done. They want to keep you in the paradigm. So they push a narrative through fictional scripts, through fictional TV shows, to make you think that, oh, I do kind of know something. No, you don't really, though. And not only that, your emotion is being spent on that fictional show that instead of reading a book, I mean, if you just read one Ron Paul book, foreign policy, peace, I forgot what it's called, I forgot what the title's called. I always forget this. But if you read one of his foreign policy books that explains things that we've been doing for 50 years, post-World War II, you will learn more than you will learn watching these political shows. Stop wasting your emotions on fake things that are fake, fictional characters. Start getting involved, really getting involved politically in the real world. We can't be zombies anymore. Stop being a zombie.
People are up in arms about Sony PlayStation and Microsoft Xbox getting hacked before Christmas because their kids couldn't log in and play the video games online, when the parents don't even review the games and they're playing games like the violent Grand Theft Auto 5.
And in these games, literally, you can pick up a hooker virtually, beat her up after you've had sex with her, and toss her, take her money, steal her money, and then toss her out. And that's a video game that your children are playing. And since you've just let the children be raised by video games and iPads and iPhones, since you didn't really think it was that important to actually parent them and discuss with them. The reason this is happening is because adults that have children now, they don't know, they refuse to get involved politically and care about the future. So what do you think your kids are going to be growing up playing? Yeah, if you don't even know what they're playing, the video game that they're playing, and you don't realize that it's literally about shooting people and banging hookers, that's going to create a decadent, terrible, demonic society, which we're becoming. And the problem is that people that have kids right now and they play video games all day, I'm sorry, that parenting needs to stop. That kind of parenting is incorrect. I disagree with it, and I would encourage you to get involved. If you think the problem is, stop being a zombie yourself, because all you're doing is creating more zombified kids. And just how terrible. Think about how terrible these games are. Call of Duty, all it is just killing people, shooting people. They're desensitizing people to war. War is not a good thing. War is not good for anyone but the military-industrial complex. Back in the day...
Stuart, every cartoon produced since 1937 has had violence in it.
Yeah, that's unbelievable. Violence is not a good thing, only in self-defense. It's the non-aggression principle. That's how you get off on being honorable. That's how you create a better society, is that you absolutely do not... You only viciously defend yourself and your family if it's in self-defense. You don't go on the offense, okay? When everyone holds to that, or the majority, you have most people living in peace because they're operating under that principle. But the problem is, we've been taken over by people that hate the non-aggression principle. They literally want to...
Well, they have a monopoly on violence.
They can just, I mean, think about it. The president signed the NDAA, but of course you won't go and look at the NDAA. You'll just say, oh, I always hear this, oh, it's just too...
scary.
It's too scary.
If you don't care about politics cares about you.
That is one of the most true statements ever. If you don't care about this stuff, it will care about you. Oh, you don't care about Barack Obama? You don't care about his policies? Or you don't care about politically getting involved? Well, politics will politically get involved in your life. And say, oh, you have too many rolls of toilet paper in your bathroom. We're on the carbon tax UN global standard of rationing. So you have too many. Yeah, you can only use the toilet twice a day, and only at certain times of the day because we want to limit. Yeah, we're in a drought. So and we'll talk like this. But you'll take it though, because you are a zombified moron that believes teaching their kids is letting the government schools indoctrinate them and just giving them a video game. Hey, check this out. Here's the solution, parents. When your kid asks for that video game or that Xbox, you just say, oh, sorry, I don't have the money to pay for it. Sorry, they're children. All you have to do is, and you know what you do? You give them another option that's a lot better, because you can mold a child's mind for the better. You can give them options. Say, yeah, you can think critically, teach them free thinking ideals and ideas, but you need to give them reasonable options. If you just say, oh man, he keeps whining about this Xbox, he wants this Xbox because everyone else has it, give him some books, give him a basketball to go play some basketball, give him options. Maybe he can learn the piano or the violin. And you know what? Children will start to like what you put in front of them. But if you put an Xbox in front of them, they're just going to become a zombie. So give them an option that's actually encouraging good behavior. It's like Stefan Molyneux. You have to give your children options. You can't just say no. You need to give them options when they want something of good that will encourage good behavior. Okay, and then as their mind develops, they will not want to sit in front of a television. They will want to go create and produce things. That's how it happens. If you just put them in front of the iPad and your phone, stop giving your kids the phone. Seriously, please. Just stop doing it, okay? They'll just
and the
always
pad. Stop giving children the pad.
What happens when that goes away?
This is weaponized against you.
There you go. It's weaponized against you. And so as Weaponized News here, Sam and I are Weaponized News, we are trying to tell you to weaponize the weapons that they've given to you. You need to learn about it, understand that it is a weapon, and then you need to go the completely opposite direction and go on the offense.
Look, we know the internet is a giant spy grid. It's the Matrix. You have to go into the Matrix to defeat it. That's why we're on the internet. That's why we have a website. That's why we do this radio show. Stuart, the depravity of society can be seen with protesters in Portland, Oregon, chanting a parody song of the Christmas Carol, where they throw in the line, "Deck the halls with rows of dead cops." Okay, we don't want any dead cops. We don't want anybody dead. We need no more violence in this country. But these are the type of people who have been indoctrinated by the video games and nonstop violence through cartoons and television since they were born, who are singing this type of garbage, and that just fuels this war that the federal government, Justice Department, Obama administration are trying to start with the American people against the cops, and then they're going to flip it and turn it into the cops against constitutionalists, libertarians, conservatives, and on down the list of anybody that they can classify into a, quote, right-wing militia type group.
I would encourage the black community, if they are fed up with being, demonized by police. I mean, you are, what's the word for it? You're discriminated against a lot. I would agree with that. Start packing. The black community needs to start understanding their constitutional rights, not just the First Amendment. Just because you're black doesn't mean you can't own a gun and carry. And you can operate within the law and common law and the Constitution, and you need to know the Constitution, because what happens is that the mindless MTV culture, gangster thug mentality is
that's weaponized
against you. So the black community,
keep you in the ghetto.
Absolutely. So instead of building a society, building a business, producing something, being smart, carrying weapons, defending yourself, you actually live in the projects, dress like a thug, commit crimes,
act like a thug.
You
are a thug.
And then you are a thug. And
that only ends in death or prison.
Yeah, death or prison. And the cops are told that's what they need to look for. If a well-dressed black man is walking down the street and he's going to work, I don't think cops are going to bother him. But if a black man that looks like Lil Wayne and dressed like Lil Wayne and
with
acts like Lil Wayne,
your pants around your ankles,
they know you're up to no good. So of course you're going to be discriminated against. Do I agree with that? No. But the thing is, they back a lot of the people that dress like this, like the gangster thugs on MTV, Kanye West and all these guys, they are usually committing crimes.
We live in a police state. You better get in line, get your papers in order.
And what I would ask of the people that are poor and are in this demographic, start learning the Constitution and then speak out politically against why drugs should be legal, why you should be able to make a living, because that's an argument. So take that, use it in the political field, be politically active, and then maybe the projects won't be so terrible. Because the problem is, if you look at all these shows, the only reason that are on TV, the only reason that people get into business of illegally dealing arms, firearms, drugs, sex trafficking, it's all for profit. Okay, they have to make a profit. And then if the government makes it illegal, of course people are going to still be involved in it because there's a lot of profit. It's high risk, but it's a lot of profit. Black market. It's very simple. If you make these things legal, as long as you're not hurting anyone and it's all voluntary, people will cocaine will be available everywhere and no one will be using it because there won't be any profit in it. It'll be stupid. It's glorified by the MTV culture because you can make money out of it. And no one would make money, or no one would sell cocaine if it wasn't to be able to buy a nice car and act like a thug gangster and buy bottles at the club. Okay? I mean, that's just the reality. But
realize the government's running the drugs.
I know, so they control everything.
You're not anti-establishment. Yeah. You're part of it.
So if you chant you want dead cops, you're just you're mindlessly mimicking the community, not thinking for yourself. And we just would like to encourage people in general, not just blacks, Hispanics, whites. We just like to encourage people in general to not be held in a demographic and be stereotyped. Actually think for yourself, think critically, and make a change. Build something. Sam and I, we've started this website. It takes some of our time. Yeah, we have to actually invest our time and put in the effort, just like this show. But we're doing it. We're building something, and we believe in the free market, and we believe in actually being able to produce something and provide a living for ourselves. So we're doing that. So I encourage people that are living poor, start by getting politically active, but start reading. Turn off the television, put down the iPhone, stop selling drugs. Not that I agree with drugs being illegal, but I'm saying get politically involved to actually make drugs legal. So maybe you could actually legally do it in your community so you can make a living and not have to worry about it, get arrested. I mean, there's so many ways you can make a difference, but first you have to change the way you think. And what this show's about, a lot of it is changing the way people think. That's all we want. My way of thinking used to be very small and skewed. It was like, oh, Bush, yeah, vote for him. My parents did. They're Republicans. Vote for him. That means good. Republican equal good. Liberal or Democrat equal bad. Okay,
and then it's the same way on the other side.
Yeah, Democrat equal good.
It's all the Republicans' fault. It's all the Democrats' fault. Give me a freaking break.
Yeah, Democrat is good and right-wing conservative is bad. Okay, so get out of that paradigm. Start thinking for yourself. Promote self-defense.
Start realizing they're using neuro-linguistic programming against your mind. The media has been weaponized against you to control your mind. Stuart, moving on here to some self-empowering false narrative that's brought to us again by the federal government. Obama group to train 10,000 community organizers in search for the next organizer-in-chief, because we all know that Obama came out, rose up through the ranks as a community organizer, communist / globalist New World Order puppet out of Chicago. And so now the federal government with U.S. tax dollars is funding NGOs to roll out a program to train 10,000 new puppet stooges that are going to act like they care about the community, but they, in the end, serve the establishment's interest.
Obama was a community organizer. That's the only thing he did before he became a senator. And then
he got disbarred from the Bar Association.
Oh, for operating what?
For
outside?
Corruption.
Oh, really? So he's not even a legitimate. He can't even practice law.
No, him or his wife.
Oh, really?
Really?
Are they both lawyers?
They're both disbarred.
That's unbelievable. So community organizer is now running the country. Obama, community organizer is another reason just how to control people.
It's
how
a
to manage,
communist stooge. It's right out of the Rules for Radicals, Saul Alinsky model, central planning. They are the revolutionaries. We are the restorationists. Let's get that straight. They are overthrowing the constitutional republic we once had as our form of government to this despotic democracy.
Yeah,
we're not a democracy. Democracies don't end well, okay? They end in dictatorship. Okay, this is not a new script that's been written. It just has a high-tech overlay to it now.
Two wolves and a sheep voting on for what's for dinner.
Yeah.
And that's what a democracy ends up like. Your constitutional rights, your God-given unalienable rights are ended because it's whoever votes. You can now vote those away. And if you get enough people on the welfare rolls and voting for you, you can get them to vote to take away our rights, our God-given rights, the Second Amendment. And so that's what a democracy always ends up. We are a democratic republic. A republic, you are guaranteed.
Representative democracy.
By the people. So we will always, although...
That's why we put these stooges in Congress, to serve our interest.
Yeah, and...
They're not doing it. They don't work for us.
And the important part of the democratic republic we live under is that we are guaranteed rights. Like states even are guaranteed to retain the rights not specifically, not given to them in the Constitution. So we should retain as many rights, not only just the Bill of Rights, but even more rights. Like if they want to make marijuana legal, that's completely okay. There's nothing in the Constitution that says drugs. Think about it. David Knight brought up a great analogy, and this makes so much sense. To ban alcohol in this country, they had to make an amendment to the Constitution to ban it. But then, once they had to make it legal again, they had to amend the constitutional amendment that they had previously amended so that alcohol was legal. But so why is through the Controlled Substances Act or whatever, they just make things illegal by fiat. They make substances. I can't grow marijuana and smoke it because the government said, even though it's not a constitutional amendment, which it needs to be, because there's...
You can have unregulated GMOs.
Yeah.
They can do genetic experimentation that is out of this world from a science fiction movie, but that's perfectly okay.
That's perfectly fine, and growing pot is absolutely the worst thing you could do, according to them, and you need to be imprisoned. But either way, it's just totally illegitimate. If the government can't just make things illegal.
It's a war against creation.
Yeah, and you just can't make things illegal if you're not hurting anybody and you're producing a product and people want to buy it. If you're not hurting people and there's no, you're supposed to be able to use the resources of the land to be able to produce something. And if you want to produce marijuana or even just alcohol, banning alcohol, at least they did it through the constitutional process. They amended the Constitution, which is the only way to change the Constitution, is to amend it, to have a constitutional convention and amend it. You have to have the states vote on to ban it and to make it an amendment. That's why. So everything else that's not amended in the Constitution is just by fiat.
It needs to be nullified.
Nullified. Absolutely. So just banning of assault weapons. I should be able to own a tank, any kind of weapon I want in my own home on my property. Absolutely.
Well, then we don't live in a constitutional republic anymore. We live in a dictatorship if that's the way that we're going to play.
Then that's the way we are playing. And that's the way we've become. That's what we've become, a democratic dictatorship. Right? Because democracies don't end well.
Stuart, let's get into the economics news now. The world's 400 richest people, according to Bloomberg, added $92 billion to their bank account in 2014.
Yeah, so the wealth gap is getting bigger.
But this is all a fraud by, we know that the central bankers who actually own the printing press, they own the general ledger of the central bank. Their names don't appear on this list. You see names like Jack Ma, Warren Buffett, Mark Zuckerberg, Bill Gates, and on with who the media, Bloomberg, props up as the richest men in the world. Well, they're not. Give me a freaking break. They don't own the printing press. They don't have access to the general ledger of the central bank.
Yeah, they're never going to tell the general public that. I mean, think about Bill Gates, though.
These guys are really rich, but they're not the richest men in the world. It's the Rothschilds, for instance.
Who own the banks.
Who own the general ledger, yeah.
Who own the general ledger, so they can just change it. They can create money out of thin air, which people don't get. It's like that's what they're doing when you print new money. It's creating...
Who has access to the general ledger to make the accounting entries in the central bank? Who is the real richest man in this world?
It's not backed... Our currency has not been backed by
Carlos Slim. Yeah. I mean, he's a billionaire, but he's not the richest man in the world.
Yeah. Our money is not backed by anything. It's a fiat currency. It's government regulated, and government says it has value. Okay, and it's not backed by any commodity. There's no gold backing it. There's nothing. There's not tobacco. Remember back in before pre-Revolutionary War, it was tobacco that was currency. So there's not real commodity. It's just
tangible
paper.
Assets.
No tangible assets.
It's just confidence in the system, and the government's gun. It's state-sponsored financial terrorism is what the U.S. military is actually at this point what backs the dollar. Because if a country tries to go away from it, then we go ahead and start a war with them like we saw in Iraq and Libya. And we're seeing them trying to start a war with Russia now for backing away from the dollar.
Yeah, Russia just signed deals to sell all their oil to China. And that's why you're seeing the prices go down in oil, because they're trying to hurt Russia, but really...
Oh, they don't love me as a consumer of gasoline here?
Yeah. See, gas is going down.
Obama saved us, you see?
Gas go down, things are good. Things be good in economy. I do not know what economy mean, but but gas go down, me put it in my truck. George Bush, good guy.
Sir, China has stepped in, and this is another article out of Bloomberg. China stepped in as the world's new bank. And so we see that they went ahead and bailed out Russia, and they're propping up Russia, Venezuela, Argentina, all these communist countries, trying to bring in their new Asian Infrastructure Investment Bank to be the lender of last resort, which is now the IMF and World Bank, run by the Anglo-American establishment, partners with the Federal Reserve, all part of the same central banking cartel. And we see China making a move right now. And so you should really care about this, because it's going to affect the value of your dollar, your purchasing power, and it's going to cause the goods and services that you purchase to increase. and so to make it less available for you, creating artificial scarcity underneath this fiat debt-based monetary system, which is why we need monetary reform and sound money in this country.
We need sound money. We need commodity money. We need to move back.
We're not running the show anymore. The world is moving away from the dollar, and they're going to try to start these big world wars to cover up the fact that the Federal Reserve is a fraud Ponzi scheme.
And it's not just that China and other countries are moving away from the dollar. Think about it. China's bailing out all these countries that can't...
Russia. They bailed out Russia when the currency collapsed due to this oil market rigging.
And this is not a good deal, because all that means is that things aren't being produced. It's fiat money being pushed into economy, and there's no production. The production can't sustain.
It's all paper illusion.
It's paper illusion. Yeah. So as they continue to bail out all these countries, that doesn't mean that those countries are going to be successful, and it's not. It doesn't mean that things are going to be better for us, folks. We got to take a quick break, and here's a word from our sponsors.
You're listening to Weaponized News with your hosts Stuart Webb and Sam Cheney. And now, back to the show.
Thank you, Woody. Folks, we're going into the fourth quarter. It's crunch time. We're going to cover as much news as we can.
Crunch time!
But usually we just end up ranting, which is important, though, because we cover... there's so much going on, we got to cover it all. I'm your host, Stuart Webb, along with my co-host Sam Cheney and our producer Woody in the studio.
Yeah.
We are Weaponized News of weaponizednews.com, so please visit the website, support us, and if you like what we're doing, let us know. And we appreciate the listeners. Thanks for putting up with us. We're going to get into some news, but we'd like to encourage you to start your own operation and start being an activist. Just being politically active, it's important. If we don't stop these tyrants now, they're going to continue to incrementally destroy everything we have, and you're going to live to see it. Don't think that things are just going to collapse and we're going to rebuild and you're waiting for that moment, you preppers out there. Look, be prepared, absolutely, but you cannot just sit drinking your coffee in your underground compound, watching the news, cleaning your guns, waiting for the collapse. You have to get active and start calling out the tyrants and putting yourself out there, because when it happens, it's going to be bad. And you know what? It may never completely collapse. It may just be a slow decay, and our society, in 20 years from now, we might be idiocracy. I mean,
that's what they want.
That's what they want. So we'd encourage you to get up off your butt. I mean, even just for an hour a night, study the news, read a book, try to understand the Constitution and the Bill of Rights, and form an opinion about something. Wouldn't you agree, Sam? Just form an opinion, think critically about anything. Just so you could have
now's
a
the
conversation.
Time to speak out and take action.
Absolutely.
And we see in Japan the real wages have crashed, and we see that their savings rate has turned negative, and they are partners with the Federal Reserve. They're all in the same central bank cartel together. And we can expect that same thing to come here to America very soon.
The Asian Development Bank, correct, Sam?
Yes.
It's bankrupt. There's no savings. The Japanese, they're obviously not producing enough with the fiat money that they've been giving. The problem is that the whole world is in somewhat of a welfare state.
We're all under debt-based monetary
exactly.
system.
You have to be in debt, and even people just say, well, you have to go into debt to get your education. It's like unbelievable. Education could be cheap and available to everyone everywhere if we didn't have a massive welfare system, unconstitutional wars, a fiat money system, debt-based monetary system. If we didn't have that stuff, things would be cheaper. The dollar would have more purchasing power, and people would offer, and regulations, licensing, all that crap. It's a bunch of racket, just like war's a racket. So if you are, you think that we need a change, start looking into those things. Deregulation, okay? And look, we say deregulation of the banks is bad, but the thing is, they have a gun to our head saying we have to use the dollar. We have to use.
No, they go bankrupt and we bail them out with taxpayer money.
With a gun to our head.
Yeah.
So that's why we say, well, if you have a gun to our head, don't deregulate, because that's going to, we're going to have to bail you out because you make bad bets and with our money.
Deregulate and then go swim in the free market and sink or swim.
Yeah, that's what I agree with. It's just deregulate.
No, they already sank.
Oh yeah, but they sank though.
but they don't play fair.
They don't play fair. They put a gun to our head and say we have to bail them out. If I did that with another company, say you got to bail out my company or else I'm going to kill you. That's what they are doing. And if people did that in the regular, we'd be arrested. But they
should all be arrested.
They should all be arrested. So deregulate and
they're financial terrorists.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. It's very sneaky. We need to deregulate, get rid of license. If I want to operate a business and sell a product, sorry, if someone, if I want to do that, I have the God-given right to do so. Just like the 12-year-old or the 11-year-old that had a baking business that got shut down by the health department because she wasn't properly licensed and didn't have the, abide by the regulations of the policy. She got her business shut down because she produced a good product that people loved, and but then the government said that she could, after a year of backlash, they said, oh, you know what, you can, but just under our terms you can produce. It's unbelievable. And then we asked why our economy sucks. We're not allowed to produce anything. Cheap energy can't be produced.
So according to the mainstream media and the federal government, we're in an economic recovery. I'd like to refute that by stating that we see institutionalized inequity, growing poverty, high unemployment, and the way they prop it up is phony numbers from the Labor Department, and we see an epidemic of unemployment, jobs paying poverty or sub-poverty wages with few to no benefits. Households need 2 to 3 incomes to get by, and it goes on. Census data show around half the population living in poverty or bordering on it in the world's richest country, the good old US of A.
I work my butt off full-time and work double-time because Sam and I have this operation. I can't afford to live on my own. I live with my parents. I can't afford to buy a car. I use my parents' car and pay insurance and gas and all that stuff. I pay for everything I have, and I work hard, but I can't make it in the United States having a full-time job. I can't make it. I can't make it without the help of my parents. So it really is. You have to work triple the amount. However hard you're working, just quadruple it, and that's the only way you're going to survive in this country if you want to live comfortably.
Human suffering is real. Yep. Neoliberal harshness is official policy. Okay, that's an economic term. Neoliberal economics. Look it up. That's what the program they have us under. It's force-fed austerity. They call it a recovery in 1984 Orwellian America. In 2015, they are going to call austerity measures, which is the public pays the debt and they capitalize the profits privately. And they're going to go ahead and call that a recovery in this country. But it's actually neoliberal austerity measures, which we've seen in South America and Europe. It's all coming here, folks.
Yeah, Global Research had a really great article that was on our list, and it just goes over the poverty in America, and really they know exactly where it's coming from. It's the global banking elite, the New World Order, that are
central banking
collapsing.
cartel.
Yeah, they know that they're engineering it. I mean, people that are there's 600,000 to 1 million of homeless people on the streets every night, just homeless. That's the average.
57,000 veterans homeless.
Homeless.
Wave your flag to that.
Yeah. A million kids are underfed in this country.
140,000 children.
Yeah, are homeless.
Yep.
On any given night, it was talking about. It's just terrible.
Living in cars, bus stations, train stations, under bridges, in homeless shelters.
Yeah, and when people say, well, these
we're in an economic recovery.
Yeah. Oh, totally. Yeah, everyone, no homeless, wages are great. But that the problem is that we have a minimum wage, which is actually makes wages terrible. I mean, we can't produce anything anymore without it costing the business, its whole profit. I mean, you have to be able to make a profit in this country. What they've done is they've kept the step to wealth they've not allowed small businesses to
Barriers
actually
to entry are too high.
Now. So
through government regulation,
a small business with 10 employees can't make. They will
it's
cripple
crony
you.
capitalism. This is not free market capitalism.
Exactly.
It's crony capitalism, command and control.
Yeah, you should be able to pay whatever the market. See, the problem is paying $9 an hour to a minimum. That's the minimum wage in California, $9 an hour. That's not what the market says is worth. It's probably even you should be even paying that person more. But the problem is the profit margin is so low for the business owner. They have to be forced by the government to pay a certain wage, and it's either eliminate that job completely or pay them that wage. The market is not telling them that price, $9. The government is saying you have to pay $9. What if the government said $50 an hour? I mean, it's just unbelievable. Deregulate, allow people to operate in the free market, okay? The government can't just make laws saying that this massive corporation has certain, gets treated differently and is selectively has loopholes, but this small business, every other small business has to fend for himself, and the payroll tax is this amount or whatnot, and it's just terrible because it is crony capitalism. We know what's going on, and just, income tax in general is, I just don't think that taxing someone's labor.
Think about it in these terms. You have to pay to go to work in this country.
You have to, yeah, that's exactly right. You have to, if you want to go to work, you have to pay the government.
Yeah.
Or
they'll send men with guns to your house.
Or they'll send men
and put you in a little room.
But it's funny, if you don't work,
with bracelets on your ankles and wrists.
But if you don't work, the government will pay you. That's why they have to force someone that goes to work. They have to force them. They have to tax them so that they can pay other people to work.
It's called 1984 dystopic reality, Stuart. It's not rational. It doesn't create a prosperous society, and we see it collapse. And the caring, loving government is collapsing America into a third world banana republic before our eyes. And then we want to blame the poor people. And yeah, there are idiot poor people out there saying that, yeah, I'm on welfare and living big. No, they're not. Okay. No, they're not.
Yeah, but we do see the apathy is the problem, is that we have 100 million people that have just given up. Instead of those 100 million people, think about it. If you don't have work, you could spend all time, like you could spend
fighting the info war.
You could fighting the info war. If I had all day to study and research,
change something instead of just being a mindless gangster thug that laughs at people that actually produce something.
If you can pay for a cell phone bill, if you can pay for cable, if you can pay for Netflix, and the food that you eat, you should be able to go to a library for free and read books and actually raise your level of knowledge and consciousness and actually start to develop a brain, develop an opinion, develop a personality. But the problem is that we're just being zombified, like we talked about earlier. So if you can afford to have a cell phone, you can afford to read a book. You can afford to go to a library and read a book. There's so much information available for free. I mean, everywhere.
There is mass inequity in this country now. The wealthiest 160,000 families own as much as the poorest 145 million.
Yeah, does that sound like land of the free, home of the brave?
No, it doesn't. It sounds like a
free
cartel.
Market. Does that sound like free market?
No, it's command and control cartel economy.
Yeah. You don't see men with guns going to Bill Gates' house and saying, you need to redistribute that $87 billion that that's his empire. That's his fortune. $87 billion. I remember 10 years ago.
But it's okay because he's a philanthropist. He puts it through tax-free foundation. And
that's how he continues to have his
That's
fortune.
How he does his eugenics operations.
Yeah.
In third world countries, injecting Indian children with death.
Yeah, but he's a humanitarian though,
mm-hmm.
And then people will never always. It's always the person down the street. Yeah, and it's always the general public always demonizes that business owner that has 50 employees that's making a decent living, but he works his butt off. But there's no demonizing of Bill Gates, who has $87 billion, who could probably cure hunger for most countries in Africa by just buying
Warren
the food,
Buffett.
buying the crops for them to grow themselves. Of course, I don't agree with that. I don't agree with forcing someone to spend their fortune on things that they don't want to. But what I'm saying is that he gets treated differently the government protects him with the monopoly of force, legally allows his tax-free foundations. Remember, Tea Party groups, liberty groups, they can't even get a tax-free. They can't even get a tax-free foundation because that they promote liberty, freedom, the family, and the Second Amendment. But Bill Gates, a philanthropist,
they need to go to a re-education camp.
Yeah, Bill Gates, though, you shoot people up with syphilis and promote global warming and global carbon taxes and promote.
If you're a good globalist, New World Order demon Satan worshiper,
yeah, then you get laws written just for you, and you keep all your fortune. You don't get taxed, and you basically do whatever you want. You go to seminars and say, you kill one grandmother and you hire 10 teachers, and that's looked at as good. Kill the old people that built this country, that actually have morals, values, are honorable. Like my grandpa, he's 92. He's an honorable human being. What an honorable man. Every time I see him, I want to be just like him. And they want those people to just be done. They don't want to have to pay for their health insurance. They don't want them. They just want them to be dead. They're bottom feeder, just the useless eaters that they talk about. Even though my grandpa has created posterity and created art and wealth for his family and created good moral human beings and just been an honorable man, they want to get rid of those people.
10 teachers.
Yeah, 10 teachers, yeah. Think about your grandparents, and Bill Gates says, well, you can hire 10 teachers. You can hire 10 teachers.
Sir, in the interest of time, we got to move on to a new investment opportunity offered to you by the federal government.
Ooh.
Yeah.
That sounds good. Public service announcement?
No, this is not good. I would not walk, but run away from this. They're rolling out a new retirement plan, quote, retirement, if you believe any of their Ponzi debt scheme, where you can go ahead and invest in U.S. government debt, which would be buying Treasury bonds. And so they're going to roll this out without a congressional vote. The Treasury Department rolled it out. And if you're stupid enough to invest in this, then I got a bridge to sell you in Fresno.
A bridge to sell us a bridge.
Yep.
Hey, if that's what it comes down to.
There is no water.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's ridiculous. Stuart, moving on here. But yeah, don't walk away from this new federal government retirement plan. Moving on to the NSA spying, which now they're going to legalize and not prosecute them. Not prosecute them for the infinite felonies of illegal wiretapping that they've done. But this is what was discovered in 2014. The NSA's Majestic program, the agency records every single cell phone conversation in the Bahamas and Afghanistan, storing those conversations for up to 30 days. The NSA specifically targets SISE administrators, the people who are often charged with keeping networks safe and secure. The NSA and its partners exploit mobile apps, such as the popular Angry Birds game, to access users' personal information, such as location, home address, gender, and more. The NSA sought to develop capabilities to infect millions of personal computers with malware implants, such as the Turbine program. The NSA Dishfire operation collects 200 million text messages daily from users around the globe. The NSA intercepts millions of images per day, including about 55,000 facial recognition quality images. The NSA spies on civil leaders and model citizens alike. The NSA has not stopped one terrorist act since 9/11, and so we're going to continue to call them out as the Stasi Soviet-style spy ring that they are, illegal, Orwellian, criminal scum of the earth. Hear that, NSA? You are wrong, and we are right, and you will fail.
It's a felony every time they illegally wiretap someone's phone, which is millions of felonies, probably billions, actually definitely billions. The NSA, I mean, they've used software, they've developed software, the U.S. government developed software to infiltrate, like, the Chancellor of Germany, Merkel, her laptop and phone, whatever she was using, and it was made by built literally to spy and to deceive other governments into basically using software that was a spy device. And so didn't they go to typewriters, Sam? I mean, we've
Then we're back to typewriter. Everything is wiretapped illegally.
yeah.
They're going to codify it into law. It doesn't matter. You are criminals, NSA.
Once you accept the spying of other countries all the time, with no just mindless spying of people in their own home for no reason that aren't even being investigated for a crime, there's no morals. You've gotten rid of, and guess what? Everyone who's spying on someone, you're going to be spied on too. It's a massive backstabbing spy game that when societies decay, everyone backstabs everyone, and that's how they falter. In the very end, no one has anyone's back.
You can't trust anyone.
You can't trust anyone. Only people are doing things for personal gain, and that's the kind of the people that we're becoming.
It's evil. It's pure evil.
Absolutely. And so the NSA, it's
not keeping us safe from ISIS, from Al Qaeda.
They haven't stopped any terrorists.
No, they engineer the terrorism.
If a terrorist attack happens on American soil, which it probably will,
A false flag, which they'll blame on patriot groups, the Tea Party.
Well, the NSA didn't. I mean, if they don't stop it, the thing is, they're proving themselves illegitimate and irrelevant.
They're obsolete.
They're obsolete. If you can't stop the terrorist,
you can steal everyone's data, but you're obsolete already.
Yeah, exactly. Because that's the whole deal, folks. They just want you to get comfortable with them spying on you.
The war on terror is a fraud.
They're not even using the information that they get to stop anything because they need it to happen.
Stuart,
so
you can't have a never-ending war on terrorism because terrorism is a military fighting tactic, okay? Yeah. Wake up to reality and stop being afraid of cartoon characters.
Stop listening to the John McCains of the world saying, well, we might be in Afghanistan for 100 years.
No, they're war criminals, and they're evil, and we're calling them out on the show, and we will continue to call these criminal scum out.
Yeah, and John McCain, guys like him, they meet with terrorist rebels, leaders.
ISIS.
Yeah. So, and that's been photos of him taken with terrorist leaders.
He talks about it.
Yeah, so it's no big deal as long as the enemy of our enemy is our friend at the time. But the thing is,
no, that's evil.
That's evil. That's just we'll fund both sides of wars. That's
evil
not a good
beats
thing.
Evil? No, good beats evil.
Yeah, absolutely. You can't go into unconstitutional wars. You can't go into a war without declaring a war. It's a military action that's never ending.
Well, Stuart,
there's no clear enemy, no clear goal.
According to the AP, the U.S. formally ended the war in Afghanistan.
Oh, when was this?
This was 2 days ago.
Oh, they formally ended it.
Wow. With a ceremony.
Oh, wow. I guess we're not at war with
in Kabul, Afghanistan. They had a ceremony there formally ending the war. But it's not over because we have lithium there to steal and mine, and we have opium there to ship back here once it's made into heroin and get our young people addicted to, and then send to a life of addiction and prison.
When they say they're officially out of war with Afghanistan, which we're officially supposed to be done, that just means that they're just going to send in independent contractors that are actually working for the U.S. government, but they're not troops.
Working for
NATO. They're not soldiers. They're not military, but they're independent contractors that are former military. They probably literally just said, hey, you're now an independent contractor, no longer working for the government. We're going to pay you as an independent contractor, but you're going to do the same exact things. So, and guess what? The general public has no idea where Afghanistan is on a map, and we are still there, and we're never going to leave there.
Well, we've been there 13 years, and the Obama administration is going to use this to say, look, we made good on our promise. We ended both the wars, Iraq and Afghanistan, even though we're over there like nobody's business.
Yeah.
Like we never were before, but it's officially ended now.
You know what?
Just like they codified the spine, so it's officially legal now.
We officially ended both those wars. We just own those countries now. That's pretty much what happened.
Well, we don't. They say U.S. interest is. It's not my interest.
Oh yeah, I'm sorry.
I'm an American citizen. It's not my freaking interest to be over there.
Yeah, I have
killing women and children with drones.
I have nothing to gain from the military industrial.
You have nothing but blowback to the angering of the people there.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, we hate Muslims. We hate the men with beards and turbans because we've been killing their women and children. If they were over here drone bombing us, we would be so pissed.
Yeah. No, absolutely.
Put the shoe on the other foot for a second and just think about it instead of just the mindless racism, the mindless war on terror.
We have no investment. Sam's right. The American population has no investment. When we say we mean our
Are you an executive
government.
at a Fortune 500 company?
No.
Do you own shares in these companies?
No, absolutely not. But we have to pay for it. It's crazy. That's, I guess, what it is. It's public debt for privatized gain.
That's what it is.
It's public investment.
It's austerity.
Yeah, it's that we
Crony
pay for
capitalism.
everything.
It's
And
neoliberal economic policy brought to us by the World Bank and the International Monetary Fund, our saviors.
you know what? Maybe we should write an article on weaponizednews.com about how and ask ourselves when we're going to get our check from our investment in the Iraq
from
and
US
Afghanistan war.
interest. Well, that's the excuse. We're
You-
protecting U.S. interest.
Yeah. So where's my check? If I'm making,
No, you can pay higher taxes is what you can get.
That's what we get. We don't get a check.
No, you get
from
to
the
pay
interest.
for it.
Oh, we get to
Because
pay
remember, it's
for the
socialized debt.
Socialized debt. yeah.
Privatized gains.
That is what the wars are, folks. You can be Islamophobic all you want, but either way, you're paying for it.
But
you're
it is
paying
fun to
for
hate
it.
men with beards and
Yeah.
turbans.
Well, just sit back, have some cold
Because,
ones.
you know, Bin Laden, a CIA agent, known CIA asset, engineered
Yeah.
9/11, made NORAD stand down from a cave
Yeah.
in Afghanistan with a laptop.
Yeah, and that Zero Dark 30 movie was propaganda to let you think that we actually killed Osama bin Laden. The day
made
we actually killed it.
The most powerful
Killed him.
military the world's ever known stand down.
Oh, I guess so. Yeah, it's crazy. And, you know, folks, you can sit down and have about 5 cold ones and watch NASCAR and act like everything's okay in America and wrap your, sleep in the flag. You can have a blanket, the American flag as a blanket while you drink your Budweiser and watch NASCAR.
You've never went to war
But-
and saw any real combat, because if you did, you'd be against it.
You would, and most military vets are. And as you can see, they come home to no support. No, they don't get the health care they need. They're homeless. They don't get jobs. So
They're on death panels at the VA.
Yeah. I really have not recently. I haven't met anyone who was former military that
Any veteran that I've ever met that was actually in combat knows the truth of it and doesn't even want to really talk about it, and it's totally against it.
Yeah, because we choose the most moral of our men to be part of the military because they're the willing, because they think they've been lied to by the government and they just want to be patriotic. So they take the best of our men and they take them over there and they all come back realizing that it's all a fraud. And we know the military is the most awake, and we know that you are the most American and you believe in the Constitution. But the folks that sit on their ass and just say, oh, yeah, go blow up that country because, we don't like Islamic terrorism or whatever. We don't like Muslims. You aren't putting your life on the line like these military veterans. And the conservative talk show hosts that promote
it's undermining the moral high ground that America once used to have to the rest of the world is what it's done. It's making us the enemy of the rest of the world, which is exactly what the New World Order wants, is to demonize America. So when we are attacked by Russia and China, the rest of the world says, well, they had it coming.
And the national conservative radio talk show hosts, they prop up the military, but also, and that's fine. I love our troops, but then they prop up the wars without sending their own sons, and they don't go to the wars. They prop up the military and make them feel good, and then they tell them, yeah, we still need to go blow stuff up, and you still need to put your life on the line. Sorry, for private interests, public socialized debt for private interests and lives of American citizens.
Neoliberal economic policy. Look it up, and has nothing to do with politics. It's economics. Moving on here, Stuart. Too. Oh yeah, Obamacare. It's so great. Government health care. The Medicaid rolls have swollen to the point where you cannot get access to a doctor. And so that's how the loving liberals, quote, loving liberals, they're not even liberal.
Yeah, authoritarians.
But the, quote, loving liberals were, and there's well-meaning people that support health care for all, and I would too in a just and right society, but we are not living in that society. And so you can have government-run Obamacare, affordable care, but you cannot get access to a doctor. So where does that leave you? Sick, dead, and dying.
Universal health care for everyone in America is you don't get health care. Isn't that...
That's what it is. Ration care.
Yeah, you can get the health care not when you need it, but when we feel like giving it. Yeah, government approved. So universal health care really is just... They never told you when you were going to get the health care. It could be 10 years down the line, folks.
It's been nothing but a pack of lies, and so that makes it illegitimate right there.
We've seen that with Gruber, John Gruber. It was written to deceive the public.
Healthcare.gov gives your health data to